What's up, YouTube? This is going to be our guide on how to use Cresselia in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun meme movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section. If you enjoy these, they help you out, drop a like, and let's get into it. So Cresselia is an absolute bulky beast, as it always has been. Now, with Terra, you can do a lot of cool things with Levitate. So you can do a lot of no weakness sort of sets or very little weakness sets and stuff like that. So it has only one ability, Levitate, and it's a Psychic type. Now, this first set is going to be more of a singles base set, and it's going to be a tanky Calm Mind set. So first we've got Terra Electric with Levitate, which is arguably probably one of the best Terras on it because you've got zero weaknesses, so no super effective moves outside of, you know, Pokemon with Mold Breaker and things like that. But it has no super effective weaknesses, which is going to be very good on a Pokemon with such, you know, defensive and special defensive stats and lots of health. So this set, we got Calm Mind and Moonlight, so it's got its own recovery. I like stored power on this, so I think it works pretty well because after a couple of Calm Minds, it'll hit really, really hard. And it also learns Moonblast too, which is good for any dark types that want to try and get around that. The EV spread I got here is Max Health and Max Defense Bold Nature. Works pretty well on most Cresselia sets, especially for singles, so it's very, very tanky. You can give this a variety of items. Keyberry is not a bad item because you increase its defense again, since that's going to, you know, increase the stored power. It's going to make you more defensively bulky as well. And once it's consumed, then knockoff isn't going to be doing double damage. You may not have to Terra straight away if you don't want to. Another item you could give it could be Leftovers. That's not a bad item on it for sure. You've got other more specific items like Mental Herb, if you don't want to be like taunted and stuff like that, depending on, you know, what sort of rule set you're playing there. Rocky Helmet's another one to deter the opponent from hitting you on the defensive side. Yeah, I had a Keyberry on there so you could get a defensive boost, and then, yeah, it'd be very, very hard to feint then. Another one you could try on there, now that I think about it, you could try Mirror Herb on there too. If someone tried to set up against you, that would sort of build your stored power. So there are quite a few options you can do. Covert Cloak's not a bad one too. And yeah, or even Citrus Berry is not bad for you to get some initial Calm Minds up. And you could go from there too. There's not too much else I would recommend for this type of set. You could, if you don't want Sword Power, you could just put Psychic on there as well, or Psy Shock. That's some other options if you want to do that. That way it's a mix, sort of a mix attacker, but I feel like with Calm Mind, and you're going to get a lot of them up with it being so tanky, why not use stored power? As for other Terras, there are a few options. You could have Terra Poison isn't bad because then you can't get poisoned. This set is a little bit susceptible to being poisoned by Toxic, so you don't really send it out until you know, you've got rid of any of those Pokemon that can poison you, so that's good. You've got Ground Immunity with Levitate still. And then you've got Steel, which is pretty good too. So you've only got a Fighting and a Fire weakness. That's about it. And a Fighting type is going to get hit hard by Stored Power too. So yeah, that's not a bad one too. I think the Electric's just the best because there's no super effective weakness. So it's going to be taking virtually everything there. So that would be my first recommendation for a singles Cresselia. Let's go on to the next one. All right, our next set here. So I have to mention Trick Room, of course. Trick Room's most of the time is definitely better in doubles, but it can work in singles with Cresselia. So same sort of build here with EV spread, and we got Relaxed Nature instead with 0 IVs and speed. That way we're trying to go first. Now, there are Pokemon that can still outspeed Cresselia under the Trick Room, so I gave it Room Service. You could give it Mental Herb as well. That's not a bad one because Cresselia commonly sets a lot of things up and generally only has 1-2 attacking moves at very most. So it's quite a passive Pokemon, I guess you could say. So Trick Room there, we got Ice Beam. Ice Beam's just good for coverage against a lot of variety of different Pokemon. And you've got an option of either Ice Beam or Moonblast or Psychic. So you sort of got to pick what you want there. Now, Lunar Dance is quite a good move on it too. Once you've sort of set enough Trick Rooms up and you feel like, well, you know, I can sweep with my last Pokemon, send it in and finish the team off, you can go Lunar Dance and heal another Pokemon, which is going to be super good. Say if it's a Pokemon that's on low health, maybe it's going to die to an entry hazard or just has a little bit of health left and can be picked off easy with a priority move. You can heal it back to full health or any status as well. It's a very, very good move on Cresselia. It's got Moonlight on there too, just to heal up. So if you need to heal up and send another Trick Room, you can do that. If you don't want Lunar Dance on there, you could just put Moonblast. That way, at least you can hit any Dark-type Pokemon, so they won't just freely be able to swap in, you know, to a weak Ice Beam. So there is that option there too. If you're not really worried about it healing itself up at all, maybe just getting Trick Room up and then dying, then you could, then you could give it some like Lunar Dance. You could just do that. But generally with Moonlight, that allows it to heal off and get another, a Trick Room off maybe later in the, in the battle there. I gave this one Terra Poison. You give it Terra Poison, Terra Electric, Terra Steel. All those ones with very little weaknesses with Levitate work fairly well that I've pretty much found on Cresselia. And you're sort of just pairing it there with any real slow, hard-hitting Pokemon, which I'll, suggest and stuff towards the end of the video when we do the the team building section like that. So yeah, that's how I'd run Cresselia. So these two definitely for singles. Let's have a look at some doubles now. All right, we got a Trick Room set here for Cresselia too. Now this one's going to be quite similar. However, we're using Lunar Blessing, which is a new move on Cresselia. So, Mental Herb is a good item on Cresselia because it really is taunt bait. Doesn't really do much attacking at all. It sets up a lot. So, Mental Herb is the item. We got Trick Room, Lunar Blessing. What Lunar Blessing does, the user, being the Cresselia, and any of the allies get healed with a quarter health. And they also have status cured as well. So, it's a very, very good move on Cresselia, being a nice support Pokemon, and any paralyzers or burns and annoying stuff like that can be healed off by Cresselia, and also gives Cresselia a bit of healing too. So why it's sponging attacks. I've got Psychic on it. You give it Psychic, Ice Beam, Moonblast, or even Dazzling Gleam. Maybe they're moves that it can definitely have. And Helping Hand as well is a great support move on Cresselia because it's very, very tanky and can take multiple hits while you're sort of boosting your allies' attack and stuff like that, like powerful Pokemon like Calyrex, Ice Rider and stuff. Another move you can give it to, which is really good, is Ally Switch. Ally Switch is just handy for swapping positions with the ally outside the field there. Obviously it's not very good when you're versing like spread moves and stuff like that, so you have to bear that one in mind. But just another great move that Cresselia learns. It learns so many good support moves. For the EV spread, max health, 112 in defense and 144 in special defense with relaxed nature. This gives it virtually even bulk on both sides. And, maximizes its health too. So I feel this is pretty nice. If you want to make it a pure defensive wall, you could, like max health and defense, like these sort of sets here, you could do that. But I find this set having, a mixed bulk is quite good. That way it's able to tank special moves a lot better than it can. I gave this one Terra Electric just due to it having no super effective weaknesses. There are a couple of other ones that can have there. So we've mentioned Poison already. Poison's not all that bad. Normal is actually kind of interesting too because you can get around any ghost type moves like, say, Calyrex Shadow Rider. That's pretty good for that. And then you can get around that and set a Trick Room up. It's quite good. And then you've got maybe Fairy as well. Fairy's a very good type in general and a good defensive type. So that could work very, very well on Cresselia as well. So there is a couple of suggestions there for Terra, depending on what your team is. This is not a Pokemon you want to be tearing, though. Probably not. Unless you feel like you can stall the opponent out. But not, I wouldn't do it really with a support set too much. Not unless you really, really needed your trick rooms up there to make your team, you know, viable, and it was a very, very good counter to the opponent's team. Then sure, you could go for that. Then that would work. All right, let's check out the next double set. All right, our next double set is a bit more gimmicky. I wanted to have one that was kind of stored power and a calm mindset that was kind of good for doubles too. So this is a bit similar to the one I suggested at the start. So we got max health, split EVs again, right down the middle, bold nature. You could go relax if you want to run it on a trick room too. So Mirror Herb on here is interesting because a lot of the time there'll be items like boost their energies or Pokemon setting up their stats right. So you can copy them right away, and that's going to add power to stored power. So we've got Calm Mind, Stored Power, and Dazzling Gleam. You could run Moonblast in there too. You don't have to run Dazzling Gleam. It's just a nice move that hits both Pokemon. So that one's sort of purely up to you. As for Terra, you can go Terra Normal, Terra Electric, Terra Poison, Terra Steel, Terra Fairy, you know, all those sort of ones. I quite like Terra Normal because you're only weak to fighting, right? And if a fighting type comes in, well, you can just hit them with stored power then. And if you've got enough, you know, special defense up there and enough bulk, you're going to be able to live that. Now, with this set, you might want to drop, let's say, you might want to drop that and give it Moonlight and then have another Pokemon deal with the Dark-type Pokemon. Or you could have the Lunar Blessing on there too. So you could sort of heal up your ally and heal yourself up. Say if you got status, you know, poison or something like that, Lunar Blessing is very handy. So it depends what you want to do there, but a very, very powerful, bulky set. Very, very bulky. And making it not just only a support Pokemon, but more of a bulky sweeper. So that's just another way of going about running the Cresselia. Let's have a look at another set here. I've still got a couple of other suggestions I can do, but we'll have a look at this one now. All right, so we've got like a pure scum set. This is obviously a bit more gimmicky now. So we've got Double Team, Charge Beam, Rest and Stored Power with a Bright Powder, Max Health, the Split Defenses there, Bold Nature, and Terra Electric as well. So it's got no super effective weaknesses, and Double Team, you'll just be able to dodge lots of attacks. Charge Beam to boost the special attack with Terra Electric. Stored Power hits virtually everything except for Dark, and you can go for a boosted Terra Electric Charge Beam against the Dark type. And then you've got Rest, which you can rest off there. With Double Team, you've got Evasion up, so the opponent won't be hitting you every single time, unless they've got they can bypass accuracy. And there's not many moves like that. You'll be, the Aerial Ace and Smart Strike and stuff like that. There's not too many of them. So yeah, apart maybe Flower Trick, and that's about it. So yep, another way to use Cresselia, a bit more of a gimmicky, scummy set there. Let's have a look at a PIMPNITE special, and we'll discuss some teammates and some other thoughts. All right, here we go. This is a horrendous set, but it was pretty fun though. I've used it before. It's terrible for damage output, but it's just fun to annoy the opponent with. So I like a physical set. We got to have a look at a physical Cresselia. So we got max attack and max speed, Jolly Nature. Zen Headbutt is good for flinching. We got Confuse Ray for confusing and Thunder Wave for paralyzing. I was going to give a Body Slam, but I was like, nah, I'll just go for Thunder Wave. And then we got Moonlight to heal off any damage while the opponent is paralyzed and confused and stuff. So you've got Confusion, Paralysis, and Flinching all at the same time. And with max attack, max speed and max attack, it'll outspeed everyone once they are paralyzed. Pretty much. We got Wide Lens as the item, so you don't miss. Well, you have a small chance of not missing. And there you go, Terra Dark on this set. Now, I put that on there just in case of any prankster Pokemon with that can burn you and stuff like that. I thought that could be interesting. Another one could be Terra Fire if you don't want to get burned. It's not bad with Levitate because at least You can't get hit by any ground type moves, but you do open yourself up to being weak to like rock and water and things like that. But anyway, that is a PIMPNITE special Cresselia. I don't know if anyone's going to be giving that one a try, but I just wanted to mention it, you know. Now, let's have a look here at some teammates and stuff for Cresselia. So, with Cresselia, you've got Trick Room, right? So, you know, some Pokemon like this are going to be very good. So, like, Calyrex Ice is going to be very good with that. Extremely good Pokemon. I've done a guide on that one already. That works very, 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 very well. You could also have Indeedee on there too. So, Indeedee female, that's a great partner Pokemon with Psychic Surge. And that's also a Trick Roomer too. So, they'd work well on the same team. Definitely. And then you've got... like, just any Pokemon that don't have... like, Raging Bolt's not bad either. I was just thinking that. So, Raging Bolt's not a bad Pokemon. Doesn't have the greatest speed. Can work well in Trick Room. Any Pokemon like that is going to be, like, super, super good. Now, if you're not running a Trick Room set or you want to sort of just support with it, you can support Pokemon like Miraidon and just go helping hand on their Electro Drift and Volt Switches and stuff like that. That's going to really work well, too. Anything like, even Calyrex Shadow Rider would be good. You could just use that. Maybe not Trick Room, but any sort of like helping hand set's going to be useful for those sort of Pokemon there. I got some other ones. So maybe for singles, you could use Ninetales and have the Light Clay, and then have Cresselia behind the Light Clay as well for absolutely disgusting levels of bulk on those Calm Mindset. Like that'd just be so difficult to get around. There'd have to be like a specific counter to get around that. But yeah, Ninetales makes a good partner just for the pure bulk. And then you could have stuff like Ursaluna, like say Ursaluna Blood Moon. That would be good there behind the screens and just doing tons and tons of damage. That would be good. And other really slow, bulky Pokemon that hit hard, like Iron Hands, Ursaluna, those type of Pokemon work typically well. Another good one here to mention too is Enamorus and Enamorus Therian. That's a really good Pokemon for singles as well, or for doubles. They could work. So they all have good synergies together too, and they're very slow, so they work well under the Trick Room. Normal Ursaluna works as well, by the way. You can just do the normal gut set. That would work fine too, for sure. So there's some teammates and stuff like that. Now, let's have a talk of counters. So I'd say King Gambit's probably up there as a top counter to Cresselia, being a dark type and hitting very, very hard as well. And what else here? Probably, I'd say Urshifu too. I mean, you've got Urshifu, Rapid with its critting moves, Surging Strikes. That would be, you have to watch out for Rocky Helmet though. And other, like Single Strike. The only thing about normal one, I would have to watch out for Moon Blast because that will get dominated by that. So I'd be inclined to use other Urshifu for sure there. Chi-Yu's not bad either, as now that I'm thinking about it. Chi-Yu. And it's also got, with Beads of Ruin and Dark Pulse and stuff, that would hurt a lot against Cresselia. Especially if it hadn't got any Calm Minds up. And typically Cresselia runs defensive rather than special defensive. So that would sort of like tear through that pretty easily, I reckon, just for a counter. Another one I was thinking might be Tyranitar too. Tyranitar's not too bad. And it's got good bulk to be able to live those Moonblasts and can hit hard with Crunch too. So that's another good counter there. Let's have a last minute look at Cresselia. If you've got anything to add to my sets or you think you've got something I haven't covered, put it below in the comment section. Always like to see that. But it is pretty pretty much used only one or two ways. So let's have a look at its moves. We've got Calm Mind. Probably you could use it for screens if you wanted to, if you really wanted to. I think you're missing out on its other moves there. If you give it Light Screen or Protect, but you could. Lunar Dance, we've gone over that. Moonlight. It gets Thunder Wave. It does get Trick as well, so maybe you give a detrimental sort of item to trick to someone. That is a possibility. Trickery, we've gone over that. Ally Switch is a nice move in doubles. If you want a Gravity user, you could try that out too. Lunar Blessing is very, very good in doubles for sure. And it does get some weather if you want to try and set that up too. If possible, it would be able to do that. It's very bulky. So yeah, there's a status moves. Looking at special moves here, it does get Dazzling Gleam for a fairy type move, but Moonblast is generally, most of the time, generally better. Ice Beam is good just for coverage against stuff like Landorus and any flying type Pokemon. Dragonite, any of those Pokemon there that are weak to ice. We went over Stored Power. You might be able to give it Thunderbolt if you had Terra Electric, but generally other moves are better on it just for coverage. It does get Icy Wind, which could be good for doubles too. That's another option. And physical, well, physical is extraordinary barren, so it's got 6 physical moves. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Cresselia. Cresselia is a pretty straightforward kind of Pokemon, what to do with it. Oh, I do want to mention one thing as well, if someone is watching this later on. Now, Cresselia used to get a really cool move called Psycho Shift. Now, it's not in the game, but basically what it does, it transfers status to a Pokemon, right? So you could do a cool set. I used to do this back in the day. You could do a Sleep Talk set with Psycho Shift, and you could transfer the sleep status to another Pokemon and then wake up yourself. So that was a really, really cool strategy with Psycho Shift, but you can't really do that anymore. But I just wanted to mention there, if it ever, Psycho Shift ever came back in the game, Cresselia will, I'd say will most definitely have that move because it was one of the few that had it at the beginning there. Just, if Gen 10 comes around and someone's watching this, or, I don't know, Pokemon Champions, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it for Cresselia. It's a very, very great bulky support Pokemon. Excellent Pokemon, and you can go into a lot of favorable defensive terrors that definitely benefit it and the team that you're using. That's about it, everyone. If you got anything else to add, put it below. If there's any Pokemon you want to see me cover, put them below too. I'm trying to get through these legendaries and mythicals and stuff. I actually don't have too many of them left, so if you want to check any other guides out, check the playlist. I've done lots of them already. That's about it. Peace out.